We will continue our discussion on functions and we will see how we can return values from the functions. So in Rust, function bodies are made up of a series of statements, optionally ending in an expression. So what is the difference between statement and expression? So statements are instructions that perform some action and do not return a value, whereas expressions evaluate to a resulting value. So for example, if we write let y equal to 10 and we write semicolon here, and this is a statement because it does not return a value. So this is just an instruction where we are assigning a value of 10 to y, and that's the end of statement. It's not returning anything. And earlier we had seen our main function. So if we have a main function and inside that we have this y equal to 10, then we will say that this main function contains one statement because it has this. So function definitions are also statements, and statements do not return a value as we have seen. So we cannot assign a value using the statement. So if we write let x equal to let y equal to 10, and this is a statement. So this is invalid and it will give error because this is a statement and we are using it to assign a value to x. So it's error because statements don't return a value in Rust. So this is different from some of the other languages like C, where assignment returns the value of the assignment. So if we are working in C language, we could have written x equal to y equal to 10. And here both x and y would get the value of 10. Because y equal to 10 assigns value to y and also returns the assigned value, that is 10. But this is not possible in Rust. So now 5 plus 10, if we see this is an expression because it evaluates to a value 15. And we can use expressions to assign to a value. So we can write let y equal to 5 plus 10. But we cannot write let y equal to let x equal to 10. So this we cannot write because this is a statement, but this is expression, so we can write. So and expressions can be part of statement. So we have seen that if we write let x equal to 10, then this is a statement, but this thing is an expression. So this expression is part of a statement. Similarly, calling a function is expression. So when we write, we have defined some function f and we are calling it. So this is an expression and we can assign a value to some value if this function returns something. And calling a macro is similarly an expression. And now let's see some code block which can be an expression. So this is the ending of code, a beginning of code block. And then we write let x equal to 10. And then we write x plus 1. Then this code block is an expression because it evaluates to 11. And note that here we have not used semicolons. So it's important. So if we write x plus 1 and then semicolon, then it will become a statement. So here we have not written any semicolon. So this code block is an expression and we can assign a value to some variable and then put a semicolon here at the end of this code block. So this will assign a value of 11 to y. Because this thing was an expression, we are allowed to assign it to some value. Whereas if we write this, then it will become wrong. So expression do not include ending semicolon. And if we add a semicolon to the end of expression, we will turn it into a statement. and which we cannot return a value, and it cannot be assigned to a value. So now let's see how to return value from a function. Now that we know about what are statements, what are expressions, and how are they different. So functions can return values to the code that calls them. We don't name return values, but we do declare their type after arrow. So here you see that earlier we have been defining some function, their parameters, and the opening of this curly braces denoted the beginning of function. So here additionally we have added this arrow denoting that this function will return an i32 value, that is an integer of 32 bits. In Rust, the return value of function is synonymous with the value of final expression in the block of the body of a function. So here you see that it's an expression because there is no semicolon here. And this is the last expression. So this is equivalent to writing the same function, sum, and the same thing. And then let's say x equal to x plus y, and then we make it into a statement. Or some other variable z plus y. So this is a statement now. And then finally we call return x. So it's equivalent to this. Even if we don't explicitly write return x, then the last expression that is present in this function will be treated as its return value. So we can return early from the function using the return keyword and specifying a value, but most functions return the last expression implicitly. Similarly, we can have multiple statements here. So this is a statement. This is a sum function which takes two parameters of type i32 and returns i32. So here we have done some calculation. We have added x plus y and assigned it to z. So this is a statement. And then we write z multiplied by 1000, and we don't add a semicolon here. So this is an expression. And this will be treated as its return value. And if we add a semicolon here, we will get error because it expects that this function will return i32, but it's not returning anything because we have made it a statement. Now let's see all of this in our function, in our code. So let's define a function. So we will write fn sum, and it takes x of i32, y i32, and it returns i32, and we write x plus y, and no semicolon here. Let's call this function here. Let z equal to sum 10, 20, and let's print it. Now let's run it. So we get the value of 30 because 10 plus 20 is 30. So this function is correctly returning. Now let's add a semicolon here. Now let's see. We are getting an error. Expected i32 found this empty. This expects that this function will return i32, but by making it a statement, it's not returning anything. So we get an error here. Now let's see. We assign x plus y to a value z, and still it's an error because it's not returning anything. So you see the error is there. Now we just write z here. So this will also work, but we can do further operation on it also, like 1000, and let's run it. So it's 10 plus 20 is 30, 30 multiplied by 1000, 30,000. So it's working correctly. Similarly, we could have written let z1 equal to this, and then return z1. Now let's run it. Okay. So again we get the same values. So these are all the valid ways of returning value from the function.